Hey guys, this is Ryu. Today we're going to be talking about the cosmology of the Dragon Ball verse. Now, this isn't simply going to be Dragon Ball Super. This is going to cover the entire series. So it's going to include, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, the movies, the video games, everything that's actually official. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Basically, we start right off. We have the Earth. The Earth is basically just based around our own Earth, but in the future. It has some differences, of course. I mean, the cities are different, and obviously the way it's set up is a bit different in terms of, the topography and all that kind of stuff. But it's basically similar to our own Earth. There's even actually a map of it that was created. So, I mean, I'll show you the map, obviously, here. And it just basically shows where all the cities are located, different things on the planet, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's basically the start of it. And the Earth is actually part of what's called the living world. Now, the living world encompasses quite a few things. First and foremost, it encompasses the universe, which is based on our own universe. Basically, the way we know this is obviously it has Earth, but also we see it actually has, the other planets in the solar system and such. We actually see Bulma travel past them on the Namekian spaceship. So yeah, we see that it's very similar to our own universe, and we even see that it has, many galaxies like our own and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's basically like our own universe. Also, within the living world, we have a place called the Demon Realm, which is kind of like an alternate universe. It's stated to actually be governed mostly by magic as opposed to physics. So physical laws are a little bit different there. This is where characters like, Deborah live, where Toa and Mira came from, where Demigra came from. In Dragon Ball, there's also an episode where they actually wind up going to the what seems to be either a place that leads to the Demon Realm or the Demon Realm itself. Basically, there's a bunch of demons running around with Goku there and such. So yeah, it's actually a pretty interesting place. Maybe talk about that a bit later. And then, of course, in the living world, we have other, pocket universes such as the Room of Spirit and Time, the Seguro space from GT, all these other places, right? So those all exist in the living world. Now, this isn't the end of the universe. Basically, in Universe 7, which is the one where most of the story takes place, we also have the Otherworld. The Otherworld would include places like Heaven, which is basically just a giant planet. But this planet is so massive, I mean, it literally is shown in the map and stated to be about the size of the regular universe in terms of its diameter. It's, grassy fields and all that kind of stuff, like it was shown in the anime and such. So, yeah, heaven is there in the other world, as well as hell underneath it, which looks to be even a little bit bigger than heaven, to be honest. I mean, it covers the entire bottom part of Otherworld. Hell also is worth mentioning that in Hell there are three Hell gates that each open up to through a different space-time continuum. So we have basically three different universes that are within inside of Hell as well. And I mean, it makes sense if you look at the size of Hell; it's pretty big in there. It's bigger than Heaven, which is stated to be, the size of the universe. So yeah, we have Hell down there. It has multiple universes in it, basically. And then, of course, above Hell, we have all the clouds, and we have Snake Way and such. And then on Snake Way, we already know at the four cardinal directions, we have the different four Kai planets. And then above all this stuff, we have the Grand Kai planet. And, all this kind of stuff adds up. And basically, it makes Otherworld a pretty freaking big thing. Yeah, if you look at it, I mean, when you have Otherworld, you probably have, you know, three or four universes worth of stuff in there, maybe more. I don't know. It's pretty big. And then we can move even further into this, and we can look outside of Otherworld and Living World to the Kaioshin realm, which it looks to be about one-fifth the size of the regular universe, stated as such in the Dissenshu as well, so we know that's accurate. Basically, the Kaioshin realm has one big planet and many little suns that surround it. So yeah, that's basically what it is. It's where the Kaioshins obviously live and where they watch the universe. So that basically is what makes up the macrocosm, kind of like a Pokeball. You have the living world on the bottom, the other world on the top, and the Kaioshin realm circles them like an orbit around there. So that's basically what Universe 7 is. That's where the majority of the series takes place. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, all the original movies all that kind of stuff. And then the thing is, though, this isn't where it ends because in Dragon Ball Super, we were introduced to the idea of there being more than one macrocosm or universe. Because when they refer to Universe 7, Universe 6, it's actually referring to a macrocosm, as shown in the manga, actually. We look at a direct scene where the macrocosm is actually shown for Universe 10. So I'll put that up and you'll see what I mean. And it's revealed there's actually 12 of these in there. So there's 12 different macrocosms within this one, I don't know, timeline basically. And then also we have some other places too that we can look at, like in Dragon Ball Heroes, we can see various pocket dimensions that are created by the Time Breakers and the Time Patroller for when they want to travel to places or for when they want to launch attacks at their opponents. They'll simply open up these I don't know, pocket dimensions to launch their attacks or to go to other places. So it's kind of cool to see that. There's obviously other pocket dimensions in between here that we might not know about normally. And then also another thing worth mentioning is in Dragon Ball Fusions, it's actually stated when you go to the character creation section that the Kai race is actually from an alternate dimension. So I mean, you can look into that there a bit more as you want, but that could mean they could be, either an alternate universe far removed from these other ones or possibly even a higher dimension. You never know. Yeah, but that's a really interesting piece of information to add to this. So basically, we have the full timeline is containing 12 of these macrocosms, a bunch of these, pocket universes. It also contains Xeno's Palace somewhere within the timelines. Xeno's Palace will be removed from these 12 macrocosms. And as well, interestingly enough, in Dragon Ball Heroes, it's confirmed that the Void World is part of each timeline because when you go to select which timeline you want to go into to do some of your missions, it states that the Void World is located within one of these timelines. And the Void World is actually a literal infinite void. Now, when we say infinite void, we don't mean there's literally nothing because, yeah, sure, there's almost no matter or energy, but there is clearly space and time because we see when they go to the Void World, Hit is capable of using his time skip ability to skip the time that's there. And also, we see that they're capable of launching their attacks and that kind of stuff, and their energy can be felt throughout the entire place, the entire Void World. They can shake the Void World. So it is a clear structure. It's not literally nothing. It's more than likely the way it looks and the way it acts, just a simple, nearly empty space-time continuum that is indeed infinite. So each timeline actually contains this infinite dimension as well. So that's kind of really interesting to think about when you consider that it's infinite. So yeah. Also worth noting is there's a place where the Shenrons exist too while they're not summoned by the Dragon Balls. Pretty big deal there. 12 macrocosms, Xeno's Palace, a bunch of mini universes, and also the infinite Void World. And that's just within one timeline. Then we can go even further here, and when we look a little bit further into the Dragon Ball lore, in Shin Budokai, actually, it's stated by Cell that there are endless worlds, which is referring to timelines, which he can travel to get all the destruction that he wants. So basically, it's saying there are infinite timelines within the Dragon Ball franchise. This is also confirmed in Xenoverse 2 when it's stated that there are infinite possible timelines that you lose track of when the patroller is talking to another patroller. So we know there are literally infinite timelines. Now, some people will try to argue that these possible timelines don't actually exist, but that's just downplay. And the fact is, it's actually stated in Dragon Ball Heroes by the Kai of Time that the possibilities are starting to merge together, and that's why we're seeing different characters from different timelines all come into one area. So the literal possibilities themselves are already existing timelines, as confirmed in here. So anybody who states that they're only possibilities and they don't actually all exist is wrong, because it's shown that they do exist already as timelines. So yeah, confirmed infinite timelines in the Dragon Ball series when we're using the games. Now, this is really interesting because each of these timelines has also an infinite void world, 12 macrocosms, all the pocket universes. So, I mean, we've got really a lot of shit in there. I mean, it's just huge here. And then we can go even further after this. If you look at the timelines, you have also things that are beyond these space-time continuums and beyond the timelines. Things that are basically transcendent to space and time. Things like the Time Vault, which contains all the scrolls, which have all these different timelines. The Crack of Time and the Time Rifts, which have these, time chasm crystals, each of which contain a timeline in them and that kind of stuff. All these places are beyond space and time and beyond the flow of time, and yet they are connected to all the different timelines as well, so you can use them to travel basically anywhere and anytime you want. So this is really cool to see this. There's actually all sorts of structures out there that are beyond space and time and transcendent to the multiverse. Also, worth mentioning is there are actually mental realms here as well. The world of mind control seen in Xenoverse is a place where you actually have to fight yourself to gain control of yourself again. And it's not just simply you fighting in your own mind, because you can actually wind up having other players go into these places to help you fight. So basically, what this means is it's a mental realm that's not just in your own mind, but it's accessible by all other players. So this means that basically there's mental planes within Dragon Ball as well. We also see the mental plane when Katilla and Sidra are talking to each other. They talk over, multiple universes of distance simply by using the mental plane to talk to each other. And we also see Gohan and Krillin doing their training within this mental plane as well when they're going on their way to Namek. So there's actually a mental plane of existence as well within the Dragon Ball franchise, seen multiple times. So that's a really interesting addition to it as well. Adds a whole other dimension to this, right? Then we can also even go further beyond this, beyond the mental planes, beyond the infinite multiverse with all these pocket universes within each timeline. Beyond all of this stuff, we can even go to higher dimensional places because it's shown in Dragon Ball Heroes, specifically in the manga, that the real world actually is supposed to exist in some shape or form in the Dragon Ball franchise. That's where Beat winds up coming out from. He winds up being sucked into the Dragon Ball multiverse through that. And it's actually stated that it is in an alternate dimension, and it's stated that Demigra, who was going to destroy it, had to transcend space and time in the Dragon Ball multiverse to be able to reach it. So, an alternate dimension that transcends space and time equals higher dimensional. It's also even stated in Dragon Ball Xenoverse that the Patroller is probably an extra dimensional character. This is stated by Android 16. Now, extra dimensional means beyond the basic 4D space time. So that would mean 5-dimensional or higher. So we have lots of confirmation that basically the real world and other types of places that are beyond space and time are higher dimensional, of a minimum of 5-dimensional or higher. So yeah, that's really interesting to see because that's kind of cool that it has higher dimensional states as well. And then also, if we look even beyond this, we have a very interesting quote from one of the trailers in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. It's literally stated that Dragon Ball Xenoverse contains a Xenoverse within its structure. Now, a Xenoverse is something that is not necessarily well known and not necessarily fully quantifiable. However, in every definition that it has, it's considered to be larger than a multiverse, aka something that is a structure with infinite universes, is usually what it's stated to be. Stated to be larger than that, and the entire basically prefix of it for Xeno means alien or outside of our understanding. So it would be something beyond that, most likely higher dimensional or completely beyond dimensions. It's not really known, but basically this is another interesting statement to see that it's implying it is well beyond a regular multiverse. So when we look at this, basically to sum up, we have an Earth based on our own with some differences in the future. We have the living world, which has, the regular universe, kind of like ours, Demon Realm, Rosat, etc., etc. Otherworld, basically this creates the macrocosm along with the Kaioshin realm. We have 12 of these within a single timeline, as well as an infinite void world, which is an infinite space-time continuum. We also have alternate dimensions for the Kais and Dragon Ball Fusion. Also, we have infinite number of these timelines as well. And then you go even further, and we have places that are beyond space and time, that transcend space and time. And we also have places that are mental realms. We have even the real world itself, which is an extra dimensional place beyond the entire multiverse. And it's even been stated that this is a Xenoverse, which is often implied to be well beyond a regular multiverse in terms of scale. So that basically sums up that the Dragon Ball franchise as a whole, if we're including all of the official content, is just simply massive and beyond what anyone would have imagined, basically prior to Dragon Ball Super or anything like that. So yeah, I hope that this was enlightening for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And yeah, basically, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below.